and welcome to Shut Up and Take My Money. This is episode 20 and the first one in English. It's basically a show about crowdfunding projects and a little bit of indie gaming on the side. Yes, our studio is a little bit minimalistic and I've got a pig plushie as my co-host. We decided to make this show kind of an experiment in crowdfunding itself and asked our viewers to send us decoration and other stuff. So far we got a lot of strange and garish decoration, but we are still missing a means to put it all up without it collapsing on top of me. And we also got Money, our pig co-host, this way. Others have allowed us to use their music or artworks. So basically everything you're going to see in this show, apart from me, has been crowdfunded over the last 19 episodes. This one is only the first one in English, since we're actually based in Germany, if you couldn't tell already from my accent. Today we'll discuss an important question. In which way are projects on Kickstarter and similar platforms trying to be better than those from mainstream gaming publishers? How do their initiators avoid the big mistakes of the industry, not only concerning creativity, but also payment models, distribution, and so on? For the ending of our show, we dug up two of the what the fuck projects on Kickstarter. You wouldn't believe what kind of ideas people put up on these platforms. So they can be either hilariously good or hilariously bad. But as always, we have a news blog prepared. What is new in crowdfunding, which projects deserve to be funded, and which don't. Among the Sleep could be a great combination of horror and cuteness. Norwegian studio Krillbite wants to create a first-person horror game seen through the eyes of a 2-year-old. As the toddler, we wake up at night to strange sounds in our home and try to find out what happened to the house and our parents. There will be creatures roaming around, but no combat. Instead, we're supposed to go hiding in closets, under beds and in cabinets. The project started out as the thesis of several Norwegian students of digital arts who later on formed Krillbite Studios to make Among the Sleep a fully fledged game. They need $200,000 to make that happen, since they're still stuck working part-time jobs to get by. The basic idea is fresh, the bits of gameplay so far look good, and you can't say no to a bunch of friendly Scandinavians with cartoon fish.
To finish Among the Sleep.
It's pretty, it's an adventure, it's got post-apocalyptic yet green landscapes, overgrown cities, a stone golem and creepy monsters. The Realm will be an artistically stunning point-and-click adventure made by Atom Hawk Design, a UK-based studio that has mostly been working behind the scenes on a lot of forgettable games, but also on Mass Effect, Devil May Cry and Driver San Francisco. They've got the art talent to create something really beautiful, and the general idea of two very different characters as a team, a young girl and a huge golem, sounds good. But Atom Hawk also claim they plan to streamline adventure gameplay to get rid of huge inventories and complex UIs, and to make the game easily playable on tablets. I'm not sure whether that's the right path to take with an adventure. The fans are still mostly into the classics, which are, let's face it, often a little cumbersome and not at all streamlined, but which have great stories and puzzles. The campaign just started, so it's hard to say whether it will make the £195,000 needed. That's roughly about $300,000, but I'd rather wait a little before backing the project and to give the creators time to show us some gameplay or puzzles.
With Jagged Alliance Flashback.
Jagged Alliance is back. The project got the subtitle Flashback because it is going to send us back in time to the first beginning of the international mercenary agency AIM, fighting communist troops on the island of San Cristobal during the Cold War. The creator Full Control specializes in turn-based strategy and also got the Space Hulk license from Games Workshop to revive another classic. With Jagged Alliance, they want to make a complex game with stealth, cover, role-playing elements and customization of the mercenary characters. Basically, exactly what fans of the original games want. Right now, the counter for the funding goes steadily up, but it could still be a close thing. $350,000 are needed.
Threaten a civilian too harshly and you might not get a chance to save an important character.
Many creators on Kickstarter tend to make games that are close to those they loved in the good old days. Dark Seas Games, based in New Orleans, missed the Road Rash series, and so they started working on Road Redemption, which has basically the same core idea of racing on a motorcycle and beating other people's heads in before they can kick you into oncoming traffic. We'll play as a recently released felon working his way up the ranks in his former club. The setting is a somewhat darker and more violent Midwest. The concept is neat, but the violence is not over the top enough to actually be funny, nor is there obviously any thought given to portray the slaughtering on the street in any way as, you know, not a preferable lifestyle. Funding will probably be a close thing, but if you're into the Road Rash gameplay, take a look at their presentation. By the way, on Monday I had the chance to play Divinity Original Sin in co-op with the people at Larian Studios, and we streamed it all live on Twitch TV. You can still find the live stream of the session on Twitch TV if you're interested in the game. And you can still back the project on Kickstarter for a short amount of time. In the main part of the show, we'll take a look at which trends of the mainstream gaming world Kickstarter and similar projects usually try to avoid, and why the latest update on the successful project Shadowrun Returns pissed off so many of its backers.
Races and creatures of fantasy.
Yeah, the world has gone to hell.
Shadowrun Returns was financed via Kickstarter, and in the FAQ section it said that it would be distributed DRM-free, but that the team of Harebrained Schemes was looking into a Steam option. Now it turns out to be almost Steam exclusive. Only original backers will get a DRM-free copy, anyone else will have to buy it on Steam. The reason, according to Harebrained Schemes, is the confused and jumbled licensing situation that had not really been dealt with during the Kickstarter campaign. In the end, they signed a contract that required the game to be released only with DRM. So the versions for the backers are kind of a special treat that no one else will be able to enjoy. Why are this fact and the discussion going on so important for Kickstarter and other crowdfunding platforms? It's a matter of trust. Many campaigns on Kickstarter state outright that they didn't get a publisher and now don't even want one. Brian Fargo even portrayed an executive at a publishing company as a whiny child with no background in gaming. You have to have a reason to be asking for money, for trust in advance, and the reason is to be independent. To make a game for gamers the way they want to play. And obviously, a lot of gamers don't want DRM. Surprise. Other matters of concern are always-on requirements and DLC policies. Those in DRM are some kind of unholy trinity, the symbol for everything that old-school gamers feel is wrong about today's industry. The makers of Battle Worlds Chronos, a recently successful campaign for a turn-based strategy game, explicitly stated they were not going to incorporate these three things. Pinky swear. So yes, basically most crowdfunding projects cater to our wish for a better gaming world, or rather a world that is rapidly disappearing. And they tap an obviously vast resource of grumpy gamers that started out in the late 80s and early 90s and can now find an alternative to the pesky modern world. But are the projects on Kickstarter and similar sites actually doing anything better than the mainstream gaming industry? A lot of the successful projects seem to be a best-of the past decades. Big names are back to get money and recognition for their personal favorite projects. Is that in any way more creative than to grind out another follow-up to a successful series? Maybe not, but it is different. And although Richard Garriott or Chris Roberts will make the big headlines with a new game, there are a lot of new and creative ideas on crowdfunding sites, some of which we have already featured. Pulse, for instance, that creates the visuals of the gaming world completely out of echoes. Or Golem, which would have given us a completely new way to control a character in a 3D environment by moving every limb on its own and by shifting the weight. Such games would never be greenlit in a traditional publishing company simply because they are taking a risk by trying something completely different. Many of these games start out as thesis projects, which means they are probably going to be innovative and fresh, but made by people with no connections in the industry. Crowdfunding gives them a chance to make these games a reality, to create something which otherwise would never exist. Unfortunately, many of these really new ideas don't get funded. That might change, since Kickstarter is only getting bigger and bigger, but only if the trust of the community gets rewarded. So if a huge Kickstarter success like Shadowrun Returns, with funding of $1.8 million, cannot keep to the promise made, many future projects might suffer from such a mistake. So let's hope that Shadowrun Returns will just be a singular case. We still have a lot of great games to look forward to, and new ones appear on crowdfunding platforms every week. I'd like it to stay that way for a long time to come, and I'd love to see some of the rare, really new ideas to succeed. Now let's finally take a look at the more bizarre things on Kickstarter and similar platforms. The Unbreakable Chain, for instance, makes me wonder at which point art just makes me uncomfortable. And How to Cook Your Neighbors sounds like something that should get you straight into a mental hospital. The Unbreakable Chain is a game about creatures eating each other. We are supposed to play as 8 different animals, but what the actual gameplay will be like is a mystery. It's ugly and it's art. It's praised for every screenshot being a Leon Sadler original, Leon Sadler being the artist behind this, yet I don't see me decorating my home with any of this. If you do, hurry up, you only got 1 day left to be part of this. Whatever this is. How to Cook Your Neighbor is a cooking book for people, literally. The author is a chef who hates noisy neighbors and started to imagine them in wine sauce on a rice bed. Of course it is meant as a joke. I hope. And it tells us how to tell nerd flesh from sporty vegetarian flesh. We're done, show's over. Thanks for watching, and if you found a project you would like us to feature, just let us know in the comments. See you next time. Till then.
Because I'm in love with you, baby, you know. You are so devilly, 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 and I'm so lovely, lovely.